without further ado, we will dive into our session for today. So as you may have heard from our orientation from our Director of Professional Services, Britt Shirley, we are here today really giving you just a little morsel of leadership tactics and strategies and protocols. And today we are going to be talking about using an impact tool to identify your priorities. So this is something, why I love this particular strategy is because any role in education can use this tool and this strategy. You don't even have to be in education to benefit from this particular tool. I use it all the time just as an adult trying to function out in the world. So we are going to be talking about this impact tool today. On our agenda, we are going to be talking about the importance of prioritizing. We've got an example to share with you from a school-based setting. We will go through this tool together with that example. We will be prioritizing all of the tasks that are going along with our initiative today and then sorting them on a matrix. You'll have an opportunity to get started on that work with your own personal initiative in your own setting. And we'll talk about how once we use this tool, we can take action on our priorities. So we are hoping that you will leave here with something that not only you can use over and over and over again individually, which you'll practice today, use it with a team of people or a cohort of people, share it with other people that you're working with, but that you'll also leave with an action item for today, something that you can take care of right away. So we are going to be narrowing down our ideas by categorizing them into impact and effort. So what is valuable for us to do immediately and execute immediately? So we're going to be flexing the skills of our problem solving, our prioritization, our project implementation, and our project management. So let's start by getting some responses in the chat here. What are the consequences of not prioritizing? We all have a million things on our plates. We all have so many tasks that need to get done. And what is something that can be a consequence of not prioritizing through those to-do items on our list? So go ahead and share your thinking in the chat with us.
We have a lot of answers flooding in the chat already, Caitlin. We have
Eileen, yep.
burnout, nothing gets done, never really getting anything done, talking in circles, lack of follow through.
That burnout, the loss of credibility. Wow, that's a really good one that honestly I hadn't thought of as a consequence. Frustration,
overwhelm.
These are great responses. Thanks so much for sharing them in the chat with us. I love that. So we can see there are a lot of negative consequences of not prioritizing. What we're about to do is walk through an example in a school setting and then give you a tool that you can use right away to not lead to some of these negative consequences. So not having that feeling of burnout or fatigue. So here's an example in which prioritization is essential to implementing something well. So in this example, we have a school that is working to shift from a traditional A through F grading system to a standards-based model. The primary goal here of standards-based grading is to improve student achievement. And that's really by focusing that instruction and the alignment of curriculum with those essential standards. So your standards-based grading and reporting then can provide better communication to all of your stakeholders. So your students, your parents, your teachers, your administrators, on what each student knows and then is able to do according to those identified standards. And then separately, we're assessing the influence of positive and consistent work habits on the student learning. So overall, the adoption of standards-based grading can help a school district to create that more effective, equitable, and student-centered educational environment, promotes meaningful learning, prepares students for future success. However, it is essential to consider the specific needs and circumstances of the district when we are implementing standards-based grading. What is that appropriate training and support during this transition? So there are a lot of tasks that need to be done in order to launch something like standards-based grading well. And you can see some of the different tasks here on your screen. Some of these tasks require much more planning than others. And for that reason, it's important to prioritize these tasks based on the level of impact and the amount of effort that it's going to take. So let's take a look at how leaders in this setting might prioritize these tasks according to their impact and their effort. What you are seeing now is also in your participant activity guide. This is called our priority sort matrix. So it's a quadrant sorting. And this is allowing you to identify challenges and opportunities for the work that you are about to set forth. So in this particular example, your standards-based grading. How can we group these ideas together based on how much effort they'll require and then how much impact they will have towards that overarching goal? Again, thinking about improving our efficiency and our effectiveness in our work. What you'll notice here is that top half are going to be things that require low effort, and the bottom half are going to be things that require high effort. So then on the left are our low impact, and on the right are our high impact. One thing to note here with this matrix, we are not taking all of the things that are on our laundry list to do and prioritizing one of those initiatives. Really, we're narrowing our focus here into one initiative and then all of the tasks that go along with achieving that goal. So we know in your school districts and in your campuses that your setting, you are probably doing a lot of things at once and you're trying to achieve a lot of things. You might be adopting a new elementary literacy curriculum and trying to vet a universal screener for social emotional behavior and trying to pass a bond issue and trying to shift to standards-based grading. We are focusing on one of those things, in this case, standards-based grading, and what are all of the things that we have to do to reach that end goal. So in our example, with our shift to standards-based grading, we can see that choosing a new report card layout is going to be something that is low effort and also low impact, something that has to be done, but it won't significantly impact our overarching goal here. Choosing a online reporting tool and configuring that to being able to ingest all of our data and report out on it, and then gathering exemplars from other districts who are utilizing standards-based grading is something that is low impact, but it's going to require a lot of effort on the part of the person or the team that's going to be doing that work. Conducting a needs analysis, so doing kind of a brief survey, sending that out to your stakeholders, that is something that is low effort, but it's going to be very high impact. Also establishing that committee requiring very little effort but having a high impact on your overall goal. And then hosting a family information event and training your teachers and your staff, that is going to be a high impact task and also require a lot of effort. So we've taken all of our tasks that we have mapped out in our brain dumping towards transitioning to standards-based grading, and we've now sorted them based off of their effort and then their impact. Those things that are in the upper right-hand quadrant, so those things that are low effort but very high impact, we want to do those things right away, as soon as possible. The items in that upper left-hand quadrant and lower right-hand quadrant, those will need to be addressed soon, but not immediately. And then finally, those tasks in your lower left quadrant, those can be delegated to other individuals to complete because they are requiring a high effort, but have little impact. So let's see what that looks like, going back to our example from our leadership team in the school setting. What are they going to be doing right away as soon as possible? They're going to be establishing a committee, getting voices around the table to think through and do some of this work. And they're going to be conducting that needs analysis, sending out this brief survey to all of their stakeholders. Soon, they'll be choosing a new report card layout, they'll be hosting a family information event, and thinking through their professional development plan for their staff. They are going to delegate, possibly to this committee that they are going to be gathering, the work of choosing and configuring an online reporting tool and gathering exemplars from other districts who are currently and successfully implementing standards-based grading. I'm going to turn it over to Steph because now we are wanting you to walk through using this tool together. So I'm going to hand it over to Steph so she can walk you through our activity.
Thank you, Caitlin. Okay, so like Caitlin just mentioned, this is the time where we're going to turn this over and let you get your hands a little bit dirty and have some hands-on time with this tool. And so in your participant activity guide, remember you can grab that directly below the video. There should be some links of some resources. You want to pull up that participant activity guide. And we're going to practice using the impact effort map to identify priorities in your setting, okay? Do we want to pop over to that guide, Caitlin, so that we can show them?
So this is the cover of the guide. Again, you're finding that link underneath your video. The protocol and the steps for using that impact effort map are listed out here on page 2.
Awesome. And then you are going to begin doing your work there on page 3, which is what Caitlin is showing on her screen right now. So you can use page 3 of this resource to begin generating a list of all of those tasks that you need to do in order to complete or in order to launch your initiative or change, right? So thinking back to that slide with that head and all of those thought bubbles, that's what you're doing here on this page, okay? And then as we scroll down through this resource, you're going to find on the next page that matrix, right? Where you can begin sorting each of those tasks that you were really brainstorming on page 3 into these areas of low impact, high impact, and so forth. And so we're going to, oh, and then finally on page 5, we have one more page of that resource. This is where you can begin now scheduling and delegating those tasks. So that's where that color coding piece comes into play. And so we're just going to give you a chunk of time right now. It looks like we have space to do about 11 minutes of work. And so we're just going to turn on some relaxing music, let you guys get to work with brainstorming, and then we're going to prompt you about halfway through this work time to shift from that brainstorming page and move into that matrix and begin putting your tasks into those different quadrants. Okay, so be on the lookout for that prompt.
And one reminder too, before your brain dump of tasks, you may need to do a pre-brain dump of what are all the things that I am trying to achieve and accomplish. Again, just that reminder to narrow it down to one goal, one initiative that you're trying to implement, and then all of the tasks that go along with it.
Great reminder. Thank you, Caitlin. Please let us know in the chat if you're having any issues finding those resources, and we can do a little troubleshooting on our end to support you. All right, setting my timer. Okay, so we have gone about halfway through the time. So this is your prompt to move on from our brainstorming brain dump on page 3 and now kind of shift into that page 4, begin sorting those things that you kind of brain dumped on page 3 into pieces of that matrix. Okay, we are coming to the end of our work time. So I'm going to give you about the next 20, 30 seconds to wrap up that final thought that you were just working on. And then we'd love to come together and hear some share outs from you all. So whenever you're ready, we'd love to hear in the chat, maybe what was the initiative that you were thinking, and then what were those things that ended up in that do now quadrant? So feel free to just drop that in the chat. We have our eyes on that. And we would love to hear from you that initiative that you kind of had in mind, and then what ended up in that do now part. And I did just approve an audio video. So if that is one way that you would like to share, oh, sorry, that was my timer going off in the background. If that's one way you'd like to share, we do invite you to request to share your audio and video as well.
Student success team and SST, Wendy, I love to see that. Determine those team members. Yes, low effort, high impact. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Would anyone else like to share what ended up in that do now quadrant for them? We'd love to hear what tasks you're going to get ready to tackle right away.
Do now is help to create that behavior team. I love that, Noemi. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, wow.
Infrastructure improvements. Oh, this makes my heart sing a little bit. I love that so much. Establish that stronger leadership team. Now is the time to push and get out of our comfort zone. So I love that.
Yep, that shared vision. Mm-hmm.
Check the alignment of our MTSS meetings and our MTSS instructions. That was amazing. I am so happy. Thank you to those of you that have shared your thinking. Hopefully you found this work to be useful, because it's something that is very easy to do. It's a free resource. You can do it individually with a cohort of people, and you can do this over and over and over again to help alleviate all of the things that you're trying to accomplish in the wonderful work that you are doing with educators and students. So thank you so much for joining us. Before you go, just remember a few housekeeping things. All of the pre-conference materials are going to be emailed to you. You can follow us on social media. We have Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. You can also subscribe to our wonderful podcast, Schoolin' Around. I believe that all of our sessions are over for today, but if you look to that left hand navigation panel, you should see an opportunity there for networking. So now is the time for that carved out networking to happen with all of the participants and branchers that are here with us. So thank you so much for joining us. We've had a great afternoon with you all.
Thanks so much, everyone.